All right, guys. It's Will, and I'm back with another market update. We're gonna kind of go through current market conditions, kind of where I'm coming with these conclusions, and what to expect moving forward with Bitcoin. I do still think there's positive sentiment towards Bitcoin, and I have zones where I think that Bitcoin will kind of rest and kind of hang out at during the time that we're trying to break this current resistance that we're under. And I'll show you the resistance slash support, or what was support. All that good stuff moving forward. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next clip and we'll discuss all that. All right, next part, we're gonna kind of look at the overall trend of Bitcoin. It's not that hard to see, guys. Like I know, like everybody feels like it's rocket science. You have to be some kind of super smart person to figure out how Bitcoin moves or how the market moves. Not in reality. I mean, it's as simple as setting up a simple trend, guys. Like we'll delete this right here. And then we'll see how to figure out that trend, right? So for previous market, just FYI, if I were looking for a trend floor, I would follow the last dip, right? So we can come all the way back here, guys. All right, what is that? 15, 14, 13, all the way back. Now the trend changes every cycle in the middle, at the end of cycle. So if I wanted to see this trend, I would simply draw what we call a trend line, right? And that trend line would then bring me up to here. And that would be the trend, right? And if we were to extend that trend, we can see that trend extends past our current market trend, right? So our current market trend is actually lower. So now I want to find the next cycle trend, right? So I would basically run this like this to the next cycle trend, guys. That's the next cycle trend. And as you can see, typically we fall through the trend line when we come back down, aka why a lot of people think that we can fall well below 20K. So once we figure out that trend, now we need to figure out the next trend, which again is not that difficult, guys. So next trend, let's figure out how to figure out the next trend for Bitcoin. Well, currently the current trend, or the next trend for Bitcoin, is here, guys. And while yes, we fell well below the trend here, does not mean that the cycle ends because we fell below the trend. Keep that in mind. There are times where we fall below the trend and then pull back up above the trend and then come back down below the trend and so on and so forth. You can see that here. And then also there's a few spots in here. If I really wanted to take it up to where it would make sense, it would be something like that. And we fell through multiple times in here, right? So that's the trend of the market right now. If I wanted to see the bullish side of the trend during the bull run portion of the market, that was your trend, right? And what happens when a market pulls too far away from the trend? Well, if a market pulls too far away from the trend, it comes back to rest. Far away, back to rest. Far away, back to rest. So if this is the trend, then the trend is your friend. Now here's the trick. Typically, trends sometimes will fail. When the trend comes back up and resists, you'll see this on a longer period of time, guys. This isn't like a 2-3 day scenario. Once that fail then begins, then we make another attempt to come back through, and then we just continue to fall. And that's how these bear markets happen, right? So over here, our current trend, aka was here. And then we started to go through, and then we started to fail. And we made a new trend, right? So what was the new trend, guys? Well, the new trend here was the second we fell below this trend, right? So that was the trend. And as soon as we extended below this trend, we knew the market was about to end. Look at that. So if you would have exited the minute it fell below and retested and retested and retested, guess what, guys? You would have been out in the positive and probably gotten out at the top. So that was our trend there. So if we move on to the next portion, we're going to take off the MA real quick and kind of get rid of that. It's adding extra information that's just convoluting the space. Now what's our trend? Our trend now is down, right? So instead of being an underneath trend, we're now an over top trend. A ceiling, a bearish ceiling, guys. So once we get under a bearish ceiling, what happens? Every time we come up and attempt to break through the ceiling, we resist. Come up, not even close. Resist, come up, resist. But what are we seeing here? we're riding the ceiling. So if you're riding the ceiling, and we also had a trend reversal on the RSI, keep in mind, if you're riding the ceiling, it looks like you're getting ready to pressure your way out. Just like if you're losing momentum, you're getting ready to fall over. These are the two tricks to easy trend line reading, guys. Easy trend line reading. So once we came down and we rode the ceiling, we then broke out, and then we created a new trend, guys. So instead of the trend being this way, now the trend is coming over more, right? So now we're kind of moving our angle to a more extended trend. So current trend, right? We have fallen below current trend. Are we testing current trend? Yes, we are. Has current trend failed yet? Not necessarily, guys. I would be looking for something like this right here, and then another attempt at a higher high that doesn't touch trend, just like what happened here, and then a fall over, guys, and then a push, and then a fall over, just like we're seeing over here. So I am expecting, even if this comes back and retest this 45K zone, for us to come back up and make an attempt to push up and push through. If we can push through, we should be able to explode to the upside. Anytime we have these break-in trends, we end up getting big pushes, right? So if we have this big push, I think, or getting to that 80 to potentially 100K, I feel like it's an embedded number that everybody has that they're just not going to let it get there. So whatever the top may be, but a higher high, I think that is possible. But I think we may loop down and come back around for that. So this could be another great buying opportunity for everybody if the market pulls back to here again, guys. There's a lot of great coins out there that can really, do some X's in this cycle if Bitcoin decides to go ahead and make this fifth wave. So this is my fifth wave that I have here. This is my 1. This is my 2. This is my 3. And this is my 4 and 5. But our 4 obviously all the way down there. And that's why I don't think that we'll go too high on the 5, because we'll be far, exceeding the 3 here. So it's just, man, or maybe it's more like that, I would say. This right here is kind of like overlapping, right? I would say it's more volume of body than candle, but I guess we could go with candle. So with this push, this is what I'd be looking to exceed for current wave / move. And we could be looking at down before up, but ultimately I think we will see up again. And I think they'll break back through. And I'm telling you, if they break back through this trend and come back and try and make an upside push, this should be explosive, right? Because they really have to push through this trend if they want to get through, in which case they're going to pump a lot of money in, and they're going to really try and get people FOMOing. So it's just all about, all the stars aligning. And you can see that same move over here, guys. If you look right here, they shove it through, and then what does it do? Boom, boom, and it just keeps going. And we could see that again right over here at those same percentage growth increases for the current market. So not done yet. Again, I do think there's a possibility of us rounding over and then coming back up. So keep this in your back pocket as a mental note, and keep some cash on the side, for potential more dips. If the dip happens, I'll buy more. If the dip doesn't happen, then I'll just stay in the market with what I have and start taking profit. I won't be entering with any more once we exceed this current trend, as this right here for me would be the last wave in the current Elliott wave. So it's the last position that I would try and hold a majority of my money in there. And last time I would be looking to insert any money, right, would be on this dip. So these are your potential upsides, possibilities, so on and so forth. Now we'll move over to the macro scenario. So let's go ahead and move over to the next video. All right, so LOL, stop the flow model. Sorry, I don't mean to be that guy, but hasn't really panned out all that great, I would say, this cycle. There is a possibility for us to take this current scenario right here and, make this run up to this 100K potentially, and, kind of hit this floor. But I think after we kind of hit that, or maybe even exceed it a little bit due to stop the flow, which I still think is far out there. I think 80, 90K is very conservative and very realistic versus, somebody saying 150K current move. But we haven't been following stop the flow very well. But if you look here at stop the flow, if we do, I would expect us to break below that 100K mark, and I would expect us to do something like this and just kind of, finish out the cycle from that position. That's what I would be looking for if I were looking at a stock to flow scenario, so on and so forth. So let's move into the next market conditions video in the next video. All right, next video, Bitcoin price and volume. So we can see right here, volume's actually picking up very well for Bitcoin. We saw the same moves over here, guys, when we got these really big pushes. So once we really start seeing volume kind of FOMO in, and this is an incline volume on top of that, which is actually a positive scenario. So if we continue to get that positive incoming volume to the upside, which means a majority more volume, just continually gradually getting bigger and bigger, we could see those higher pushes, like we're saying, of all the way up to like 70-80K, I think, potentially. So keep that in your mind also, and let's move on to the next metric that we'll be looking at in just a second. All right, we can see the market is recovering a little bit. We are still in extreme fears currently, but right now we're cooling down from previous extreme fear, obviously 16 being very, very extreme fear. Last time we got down in these ranges, 16 and 10, that's when the market flipped, and we ran back up again. So there is potential for this thing to continue to recover. Extreme fear is a good buying opportunity time, whereas extreme greed is a good time to take profit, typically. Not financial advice, of course, but these are just the way that I play the market. All right, let's move on to the next metric in the next video. All right, longs and shorts, good ways to measure the market and see how bullish people are on specific tokens and so on and so forth. Mainly Bitcoin, ETH, obviously. Bitcoin longs obviously are huge, 96% longs here, 50% longs here, 61% longs here, and 70% longs here, versus the shorts all being less. Shows positive correlation of positive market sentiment, right? So if we're looking at positive market sentiment, then that basically is telling me that this is probably a good position to DCA, right? So I always keep this in mind. People could say, well, over leverage longs, over leverage this, over leverage that. I'd say 50%, 61%, and 70% are not over leveraged. Obviously, 96% is. And they may come back down again, like I said, if they roll back over to grab that bottom again, that 45K mark, to liquidate some more longs, that should kind of even a lot of this out, and then that would make more sense for that whole scenario to play out. Ethereum, obviously, 32% long, 50% long, 59% long, and 50% long. I would say with this, we'll probably see Ethereum run up, to be honest with you, because they want to liquidate the shorts. So keep that in mind too when looking at the market. Does that always play out like that? No, but it's a good indication or a good idea to kind of pay attention to this, so you can kind of see where the market may shift to, right? This is only one indicator in your arsenal. All right, let's move on to the next metric in just a second. All right, so same as last correlation. We can see right here, longs are bigger than shorts. So that's kind of telling me that sentiment is there. We're obviously not over leveraged here on longs on the overall market on every single exchange as far as that you can long and short on. So that's telling me that we're pretty well balanced and that we should possibly see some positive sentiment. Again, it's only 1.21%, but that's actually a lot if you look at longs and shorts. Typically that means that we're in a well-balanced market, and now the can basically, market maker, can run the tokens up to try and get more liquidity, gather more liquidity from the market. Next portion, we're going to be looking at our crypto meter, which is our trend reader, right? So it bases a lot of this stuff off trends and kind of where that goes for trends. So with that being said, I would say we're obviously 50-50. Market's undecided. So keep that in mind too. That's usually can be up or downside. All right, last part now. Now we're going to cover the Bitcoin long-term holders new pool. So this is basically where long-term holders stand. Are they in that euphoric zone? Are they in that belief in the now zone? Are they in that optimism zone, hope and fear, or capitulation? Obviously, capitulation being the best zone, because that's the best prices you can get typically for a lot of coins. It's usually close to the bottom of the market. Right now, we're still in the belief in the now zone. We've come up and attempted now 2 times, double topped on the euphoria greed zone. So we did hit that back at the beginning of the year. We have not been able to get back into that zone. So makes it very questionable. Are we going to get back into there, or are we just going to kind of market top in this belief in the now zone and then, you know, kind of see the market run down from there, and then we kind of run down in these lower zones for Bitcoin, see the market in. Again, belief in denial is where a lot of people say this time is different, this time this and that, institutions, retail, you know, all the normal stuff. Look at 1718. Look at the articles, guys. You'll see the same exact thing they say now. And you can say, well, it's different now. Yeah, no, but it's true now. It's not true now. Yeah. At the end of the day, crypto is here to stay, for sure, 100%. Crypto will be one of the best asset classes when it comes to profits, so on and so forth. As long as you believe in the tech, it will do well. But to believe that there's going to be no cycle end, I think is just unrealistic for a lot of people. And to tell people that, it will honestly get them wrecked. And I think it's immoral in a lot of ways. But, you know, that's just me. I'm not trying to bash other people for doing that. I'm just simply stating how I like to move in the space and things I like to inform people of. I think informing people of intelligent conversation and realistic outlooks and goals is a good thing, right? Looking for percentages, maybe an X or two, but, you know, looking for 10, 100,000 X's is not a scenario that people should be realistically looking towards. They should be looking towards creating wealth. Slower movers obviously are safer, guys. Like if you're more realistic with your gains, you can honestly make quite a bit of money. If you're unrealistic with your gains and dabbling with, you know, coins that are very suspect and dealing with coins that are very low market cap, you're risking your capital much more than if you were to buy into a project that can get you a percentage gain or so on and so forth. I know some people are in here for short term, but really the space is meant and built for long-term holders, guys. Like if you're looking to make true wealth, that long-term hold is the idea. Can you make a lot holding? Yeah, but I can tell you holding Bitcoin from a top, let's say Bitcoin hits 100K and you bought it 100K, the realistic scenario of that is, guys, is that potentially you could end up holding that for 2 years before that price recovery happens, right? So if you're gonna hold for 2 years for a price recovery, does that make any sense as opposed to buying a bottom or a local bottom or a midpoint close to bottom, you know? And you could say, well, you don't know where bottom is, or I don't know where bottom is. Yeah, I mean, sure, but do you think 100K is bottom? Just saying. People will buy it, but the realistic scenario is I don't think 100K is bottom. I don't think 60K is bottom when we end cycle. So, again, not trying to get too direct with this conversation, but just trying to give people realistic outlooks and goals when in a space. You gotta be goal oriented, and then you also have to understand that you gotta hold. That's just it. Like you gotta buy these bottoms, and you know you gotta be in here for the long term if you're really looking to make wealth. Again, my little rant at the end of my marketing video, market outlook video, but at the end of the day, these are realistic scenarios. I will say good luck. I hope everybody makes a lot of money. And, you know, feel free to reach out if you guys have questions and so on and so forth. Or if you have video suggestions too, I'm always open to that. So just feel free to drop them in the comments. If you guys could follow me on Twitter, follow me obviously on YouTube. Comment is amazing. You guys are all amazing. Thumbs up if possible. That would be absolutely very much humbling and appreciated. Until next time, guys. Have a good one.